You're about to listen to a Gaming Stooges podcast with your regularly scheduled Stooges.
I'm Jack.
The internet calls me Cloud.
And I'm Landon.
We hope you enjoyed today's discussion, and if you do, please consider subscribing to our YouTube channel, following us on Twitch, or joining our Discord. Let's get on with the show.
You guys like video game consoles? Want to fight about them?
No, I hate video games.
Well, I guess that's the podcast episode. Today, we're talking about another generation of game consoles. If you didn't watch the last one where we talked about the Wii, PS3, and 360, you can go back and listen to that. We'll wait. Actually, we won't. We are going to talk about the PS2, the GameCube, Xbox, Dreamcast. That's the sixth generation of game consoles.
As well as the handhelds.
We got handhelds, and we got more handhelds than I thought we were going to have. I thought we were just going to have the Game Boy Advance and maybe one other device.
No.
No, there was at least 4 notable handhelds released in this time. There might be others that I didn't mention, but we are going to talk primarily about the Game Boy Advance, the Bandai WonderSwan, the Nokia N-Gage, and the Neo Geo Pocket Color, which were all released in the same time window.
Between 1999 and 2003
is the latest one.
Yeah.
Yep. So, how do you guys feel about the sixth generation of video game consoles? What was your first experience with them before we go over?
Well, I mean, the first video game system I ever owned was a Game Boy Advance. And the first home console I ever owned was a GameCube. So, pretty formative generation for me. It's, it was in my early days of, video gaming, so I wasn't quite, on the ball with, every new release because I was, 9 years old, I think.
Yeah, right.
When the DS came out, so...
you probably would see, an ad on TV for, a game, and you'd be excited. Yeah. You'd be like, oh!
I didn't have a ton of games for... I would save up, and I would probably buy maybe 3 or 4 games on my own in a year, and then, rely on my parents to get me the rest for my birthday or Christmas. But good generation. Even the consoles I didn't own, in the time, because I do also own a PS2 and an Xbox currently, but at the time I didn't own either, but I had friends who did, and they were still sick, even if I didn't own them.
My first jump into the generation was in 2002 with the PS2. My family had gotten one for the family, basically, just for everybody to share. We had gotten the newest Hot Shots Golf game at the time, which is Hot Shots Golf 3, as our first game. Because at this point we had already been fans of the series since the PlayStation 1. And then I think we might have gotten the PS2 in late 2001. I don't remember which came first, whether we got the PS2 or I got my Game Boy Advance. That might have been my first entry, because I remember getting it for Christmas pretty early on, or my birthday. It was one or the other, and I just remember my first game for it was the Monsters, Inc. Game Boy Advance game.
Hell yeah.
It's pretty fun. It's not the best game ever, but it's pretty fun. I would later get a GameCube after the next generation had already started. The Wii, PS3, and Xbox 360 were already all out, but I was too poor, so we ended up getting a GameCube instead. I've played Xbox with friends. We briefly owned one. I think it's my mom's, though. I think they might still have it. I think she might still have it. I'm not sure, but even if not, I never actually owned one myself. And outside of the Game Boy Advance, none of these other handhelds, we'll go over them briefly when we get to them. I didn't get any experience with any of these. And I own a Dreamcast now. I don't have a lot of games for it, but I've played a bit of it.
Hell yeah.
Hi, Landon.
Landon, care to chime in?
He's just going to be a
Instead of-
statue.
If
This is
I-
his gag.
If I get to be a cardboard cutout of Landon tonight, that would make my job so much easier.
Unfortunately, that doesn't really translate very well into podcast joke.
Eh.
The visual humor is fine for our Twitch viewers, hi Twitch viewers, but for our podcast listeners, which is going to be most people that listen to this, yeah.
Alright, fine, I'll answer the question. What was the question?
What was your experience with the 6th generation of video game consoles?
Oh.
Yeah.
I got a GameCube, a PS2, and a Game Boy Advance SP during the time of the actual consoles, when they were relevant. And then I got a Dreamcast way down the road. And nothing else. My first... At least one of my first two GameCube games was the Pac-Man World game. That came with like the verses, where you could play Pac-Man verses.
Nice.
Yeah, I don't remember my first games for the other two systems. My guess is Pokemon. It's usually a pretty good guess for Game Boy Advance SP. And then for PlayStation 2...
Trying to think, right?
Yeah, I have no idea.
We can come back to it if you
No,
remember it.
I don't think I ever will.
We're going to go over each of the consoles in release order, and then we're going to go over all of the handhelds roughly in release order. And we're going to talk about them. Starting with the Sega Dreamcast was the first console to come out for the for the 4 home consoles on September 9th, 1999 in North America for $199 for the launch price. It was, again, the first console for the generation, launching with Sonic Adventure. It was kind of a big deal at the time. It was discontinued on March 21st, 2001, so it had a year and a half in North America. Just total. So unfortunately, because of that, it's only sold 9.1 to 10.6 million units. The numbers are not like you can look at like different sources and they all are somewhat different. But I think it seems like the 9 million is like the number they had from the time till it was discontinued, and then the 10.5 million is like some extra that they had sold after, like they sold an extra million or so more, is what my guess is. But major titles for this system include Sonic Adventure 1 and 2, of course. You got Jet Set Radio, Soul Calibur, Shenmue, Crazy Taxi, Sega Bass Fishing, bunch of others, Hydro Thunder. A lot of good stuff there. So, how do we feel about the Sega Dreamcast?
This feeds right into a Twitch question. Cloud, question, what is a Dreamcast like?
Well, I think we're gonna
talk about it.
We're gonna talk about it.
I think the Dreamcast is pretty sick. I did not own one when it was around because it died before I owned a video game system, so kind of missed the time window on that one. But I bought one at a secondhand store in 2011, 2012 or 13, I think. And I got some games for it. And the Dreamcast, I mean, for its time, it's a really solid system. I mean, the graphics at the time were about as good as video games got. The controller was pretty sick with the UMDs.
The VMU.
VMU, Jesus. I'm getting the acronyms mixed up. The VMUs, the controller, which was more or less plagiarized by Xbox years later.
Not even years, just 2 years.
Yeah, well, I mean, still, multiple years. But in a short span of time, the Dreamcast had a lot of really cool games, and it's kind of a shame that it died so early, because it, like, had it lasted even, like, another year and a half, it probably would be considered, like, one of the best game systems of all time. But, you know, because it died early and killed Sega as, like, a console manufacturer, it's generally seen as, you know, a what could have been, rather than, like, a roaring success.
Right. What are some of your favorite games on the system?
Jet Set Radio.
You said games plural.
Okay.
Yeah, name 3. You like the Dreamcast? Name 3 games.
Jet Set Radio. Never mind that I've played multiple Dreamcast games for this channel, but
Yes.
I love Space Channel 5 is sick.
That's a big one I didn't actually list there.
Yep. Samba de Amigo, Hydro Thunder, like you said, Sonic Adventure 2. Trying to think. I feel like I'm blanking on a big one, but I'll get back to it.
Would you say the Tony Hawk Pro Skater games on the Dreamcast are the best versions or good versions compared to the others, or would you actually prefer some of the other versions over?
For the first 2 games, honestly, I wouldn't even say I prefer the Dreamcast version of the games, because I like the DualShock more for controlling in a Tony Hawk game, because I usually prefer to use the D-pad in Tony Hawk, because it's a lot easier to turn.
Okay.
And it's a lot more precise. So, like, I don't mind using a control stick, but, like, given the choice, I will use the D-pad. So I prefer the DualShock for that. But, I mean, the Dreamcast versions of Pro Skater 1 and 2 are probably, like, performance-wise, probably the best versions of those games. But beyond that, I think they only had, or Dreamcast only had Tony Hawk 1 and 2, so...
Yeah.
Pro Skater 3 was not on the Dreamcast, so...
Yeah, I didn't have as much experience with the Dreamcast as probably either of you. Like, I have a little bit. But I do like the system. From one thing I can probably guarantee none of us got to experience is it was the first major console to really have robust online functionality. It wasn't the first to do it at all. Like, you had SegaNet for, like, the Sega Genesis, and I think in Japan there was a Super Nintendo online connectivity thing that you could do. But, you know, it wasn't widespread. But the Dreamcast, like, really had, like, some... You couldn't, like, play a lot of games online, like, with other people, but you'd have, like, stuff where, like, you could connect on Sonic Adventure 2 to get, like, some bonus stuff online. So, I mean, that was pretty cool. But as far as games go, like, pretty much some of what you said that I've already played, plus Grandia 2, which, as of this podcast, we are in the middle of a stream series for. We are doing that, but we're taking a break for Spookfest. It'll be back in November, but, I mean, you can go watch the VODs.
I remembered the other, well, 2 big ones that I forgot to mention. Choo Choo Rocket, which is one of the best local multiplayer games ever made, and Crazy Taxi for my favorites.
But yeah, I do agree with you about the Dreamcast being that, like, if it had an extra year, because, like, when you think about it, the sales, like, 9 to 10 million in a year and a half in 2000, that's
pretty
not
good.
bad.
I mean, it's
not crazy good, but, like, it's not bad. They could have tried to squeeze out an extra year or 2 out of that.
Yeah. But also, like, the other issue was, like, by the time the GameCube and the Xbox were out, like, the Dreamcast was, like, massively outclassed graphically by its peers. I mean, hell,
Right.
even the PS2 is, like, way more graphically capable than the Dreamcast. But that's the way it goes.
Yeah. Well,
When
what
you're
about
the
you, Landon? How you feel about the Dreamcast?
It's aggressively fine.
It's aggressively fine.
Aggressively fine.
It's aggressively fine. It has a pretty solid catalog. I mean, it has the one game that matters, Hydro Thunder. Everything else on it's like, But
That might be all you need.
Hydro Thunder, man, that's so good. I'll say, yeah, it's a good system. It's weird to think what a Shadow the Hedgehog or Sonic Heroes would be on the Dreamcast.
Yeah.
Because we have to assume that if they actually were in an alternate universe successful enough with the Dreamcast to keep going with it for a bit, like, we would have seen those games on that system instead.
Yeah. And
well,
what like the hardware would have had to have, like, would they have done a revision of the Dreamcast for like a Dreamcast 1.5 or something, where it's like a little bit more powerful?
Or what if we never even got Sonic Heroes and Shadow the Hedgehog if the Dreamcast was still going? Like, what if we got Sonic Adventure 3?
True.
That would...
Which would also
Like,
don't forget Sonic 06.
Maybe, yeah.
We can go down a rabbit hole. That's a whole podcast.
We need to...
The Dreamcast was a success and we reached paradise by 2022.
There is a timeline somewhere where Sega is the most lucrative console manufacturer in the world, and every, like, I don't know where I'm going with this, but just like, there's a timeline where Sonic never got shitty.
A timeline where Sega bought Microsoft instead for its games division.
Oh god.
Be very strange
Halo,
times we live in.
Dreamcast exclusive.
Dude.
Do you think they had COVID in that universe?
Oh,
honestly, I think it could. It's 50-50. Could go either way.
That's a whole nother discussion, honestly.
There might be a timeline somewhere where all of those factors did come together. Like, we achieved world peace. Sega was a dominant spot in the console market. No COVID.
Just that one. It's just that one meme of like this futuristic utopia, and it's Sega if the Dreamcast lasted a couple more years.
Yeah. Purely that. So, do you guys have anything to add on the Dreamcast, or you guys ready to move on?
Not really.
Phantasy Star Online is like pretty cool with the game.
That's a really big title for that.
Yeah.
And Phantasy Star Online is probably arguably one of the first games to really get like a console game with an online infrastructure behind it.
Yeah,
it's pretty crazy.
It's nice that it's still playable. Like, you can still play it, and like there are fan servers up, but like even as just a single player experience, it's still pretty fun. I've dabbled a bit with it.
Nice. So the next console that came out was Sony's PlayStation 2, released on October 26, 2000. It needs no introduction. It's the most successful console of all time, at least as of this podcast. We don't know how well the Switch is gonna be doing like another year or two from now. Who knows? 20 years from now, if this podcast is still up on Spotify and like another console like overtook it by like 30 million units, we don't know. But as of this, the best-selling console of all time, 155 million units worldwide, entirely backwards compatible with PlayStation games, controllers, and memory cards. Not every accessory from the PlayStation 1 was compatible, but most of the important stuff was. And also prominently had DVD playback, which is part of why it was so successful. I'm not going to list notable titles for this console because there are a lot, and yes, that is exactly what I put in my Google document. I put a bullet that said I will not list notable titles for this console because there are a lot.
There are a shitload.
There's only three we need to talk about, guys. Sly Cooper,
Persona
and the
3, Persona 4.
I should have butted in with like two totally different games as well. Just been like Ape Escape 3, Kingdom Hearts 2.
Gross.
But no, Jack, what is your experience with the PlayStation 2?
I didn't own a PS2 personally until I bought mine from a friend in, oh god, I don't remember what year it was, 2009 maybe, 2010. But I did have, like, you know, experiences on the PS2 growing up. I had, you know, pretty much everyone but me owned a PS2, so I never really, like, felt the need to get one myself. I could just go hang out with friends and play whatever the fuck.
Yeah, that was me with the Xbox, right? Like, everybody had that one console where, like, you didn't have it, but all your friends did, so you didn't need it.
Right. But, like, so I have experiences with the PS2, just, like, I didn't grow up with it, like, at least not firsthand, so I don't have a lot to say. But, I mean, until we get to favorite games. But I'll wait for you guys to say.
Yeah, my experience with the PS2, as I mentioned, we got in there pretty early. It was a couple years in when Hot Shots Golf 3 came out. We got it for that because, you know, our family liked to pass the game around. And that was basically our primary console for, Jesus Christ, 2002, 2003, 2004, 2005, 2006, 2007, part of 2008. So, like, this many years.
How many is that? I can't hear.
Yeah. So it's about 7 or 8 years was the amount of fingers I had counted on. So, yeah, a really long time. So, I mean, it was basically our primary console till we got a Wii. And I played a lot of games for it. Like, I'll go over what my favorites are once, you know, we come back around for that. But, yeah, a lot of games. I don't have them anymore. You know, a lot of stuff happened. I don't have a lot of my old stuff anymore. I do have a PS2 now. Bought it from a friend. And I do still have part of my game library. So I got to build that back up. So, but Landon, what was your experience with the PS2?
It sat there a lot.
Really?
I didn't have very many games for it. I played the GameCube way more than the PS2. But I did put over 1 bajillion hours into Star Wars Battlefront 2.
Good choice.
Yeah. So there's that. I just really didn't have a whole lot on it. Not that it's a bad console, but it was just like, you know, the Nintendo stuff.
It just wasn't your thing.
Yeah.
What are some of you guys' favorite games that you played on the system? Jack, you wanted to wait till we came back around?
Well, I don't know. Whatever. I can go now.
You want to go now?
Or whoever wants to go now. I don't have to go first.
That's going to break the cycle.
I was going to say, like,
yeah.
Why break the cycle?
We're going to destroy the universe. Jack, go first. Go first.
If we don't
you
go
don't
in this
understand.
exact...
There's a timeline where if Jack doesn't go first, the entire country actually just died of COVID. There is no United States of America anymore.
That is this timeline. Go first.
Okay, shit. Yeah, if you put, like, a picture of every PS2 game, like, in a room, like, on the wall in a room, and just, like, threw a dart at some random spot on the wall, you would probably find a pretty fucking good game. Because there's a lot of good ones. The entire Ratchet trilogy, the Jack trilogy, the Sly Cooper trilogy, the fucking Star Wars Battlefront 2, like Lennon said, Persona 3, Persona 3 FES, Persona 4, Shadow of the Colossus, Ico. There's just a shitload. Silent Hill 2, Metal Gear Solid 2, 3, and Subsistence for both of those games. The PS2 had an insane library. Like,
yeah, and like I can name off a ton of games that you didn't even mention. Like we got Final Fantasy X, we got Dark Cloud 2, my favorite PS2 game of all time, and the first Dark Cloud game is really good. You mentioned the Ratchet trilogy, but there is a fourth game.
Yeah,
Ratchet Deadlock. That one's not as good as the other three, but it's still pretty good.
That's why
very solid.
I mean, yeah, but I just mentioned just a trilogy for simplicity's sake.
And then Ape Escape 2 and 3 are really good, right up there with the other platformers on the system. Twisted Metal Black, fantastic game. That was like one of my favorites. Hot Shots Golf 3 and 4, the Xenosaga trilogy. Jesus. God, you could go on and on. There's a lot.
But Cloud,
But
What are your favorite games for the iToy?
I never played the iToy. Weirdly, like I know, like I was interested in it, but like we just never got one. And honestly, I wasn't missing out. So
I had a friend that had an iToy, so I had like limited experience with it. But from when I played it, it was neat, but got boring after 10 minutes.
Oh, and not like joking or anything, but I think PS2 was like the peak era of the WWE wrestling games. God.
Oh, 100%.
Some of the games on that system were so good. Here Comes the Pain, SmackDown vs. Raw, SmackDown vs. Raw 2006. Like, some of the best wrestling games of all time are on that thing. So, yeah, no, there's just, if most genres, if you like the genre, you could find good games on the PS2 for it.
I'm very disappointed in you, Cloud.
Why did I not mention Star Wars Battlefront 2? Is that why?
No, I already talked about it, so we don't have to talk about it anymore. Unless you want me to talk about how I maxed out every single class. I maxed out every single class.
Did you want to talk about how you...
There.
Okay.
No, you forgot to mention God's gift of video games, Dragon Ball Sagas.
No!
Or, you know...
That game was on everything anyway.
All the other...
There's a timeline where
games.
Dragon Ball Z Sagas was on the Dreamcast.
I
love
also... I'm shitting on myself for not remembering this, but Okami was originally on the PS2. I think of Okami as a Wii game because that's what I originally played it on, but it was on the PS2. And also God Hand, which is fucking sick.
Yeah, that's a good one too.
But no, there was a lot of the Dragon Ball fighters were on it, and some of them were exclusive to it. Some, like Budokai 1 and 2 were also on Cube, but 3 wasn't. Budokai Tenkaichi 1 was just PS2. 2 and 3, which also came out on PS2, were also on Wii, but like the PS2 had your anime bullshit.
It did. There was a lot of anime bullshit on there. So yeah, that's the PS2. We'll come back around and talk about the systems overall when we get to the end. But the next was the Microsoft Xbox, released on November 15th, 2001 at retail for $299 in North America. First major console, to have internal storage, which is very notable considering that pretty much every console needs internal storage now. Like, you can't not have it. It's an industry standard. So it sold 24 million units in its lifespan, so not a whole lot. Nothing really sold a lot next to the PS2. But you do have a bunch of notable titles. You got Halo 1 and 2. You got Fable, Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. You got Splinter Cell, Dead or Alive 3, Counter-Strike, Ninja Gaiden. And interestingly, the third best-selling game on the Xbox, and I kid you not, is Sneak King.
Motherfucking Sneak King, bitch.
When I was doing research for this podcast, and I looked at the top-selling Xbox games, you can imagine my surprise when I saw Sneak King in third place.
I did not actually know that Sneak King was the third best-selling game on the system before you mentioned
like 3.5 million units.
Fucking hilarious.
Yep.
But also the only Xbox game that matters, Jet Set Radio Future.
Yeah, true.
What about SMT If?
Is that an Xbox game?
Was that an Xbox game?
No, it was Nines. Nines was the exclusive.
Oh, okay. Oh. I've not played that game.
Well, that's because it's an Xbox exclusive. No one's going to.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Wow. But speaking of people playing Xbox, what is your experience with the Xbox? Do you have any experience with the Xbox?
I have very little. I own an Xbox. I use it almost exclusively to play Jet Set Radio Future. I did not buy it until probably 2013 or 14. I always had friends that had Xboxes, same deal with the PS2, and pretty much the only game we ever played on the Xbox was Halo. or Halo 2.
I was going to say, yeah, the same. I had several friends that had the Xbox, and we only ever played Halo and Halo 2 on it. I believe I remember playing, I owned a Taito arcade collection game for it, so I played that a bunch. And God, I think there was like one or two other games that we played on the Xbox, but not a whole lot. I remember my mom played Tak and the Power of Juju.
Oh my god, I forgot about Tak and the Power of Juju.
That is a video game.
You just unlocked a memory.
Core memory unlocked.
I've played that game. It's been a very long time.
But yeah, I don't really have a whole lot of experience. Pretty much just my friends playing it, and then a brief period where I played it because my mom had one. That's about it.
Landon, is that... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, as for Landon.
Landon, was that SMT game you put... Was that a Japanese exclusive?
It might have been.
Just judging by the cover, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, I mean...
But, yeah, I've never... I want to say I've never even heard of that game, quite frankly.
I only remember it because it is an Xbox exclusive. It's the only... This is literally all I have to talk about for the Xbox, is I didn't really play it. I probably played Halo a time. I don't know. It's a system.
That's okay.
It's got an SMT game. That's all I have to talk about.
The Xbox systems will have like that one weird token exclusive that's just like, oh, that's really interesting. It's never a system seller, but it's just like, it's kind of interesting that only this system has it.
That's Jet Set Radio Future for me. I fucking love that game, but it's only on the Xbox.
But as for going back to the last console we haven't talked about yet, the Nintendo GameCube, released literally 3 days later on November 18th, 2001 at launch for $199 in North America. It only sold 21.7 million units in its lifespan, so a couple million less than the Xbox. One fun fact I want to add is that not even 2 years later, this system got a significant price cut to $99, which made it one of the cheapest home consoles to ever exist.
Wait, when did that happen?
In 2003.
Okay.
Yeah, it was barely 2 years into its lifespan. They cut it in half to $99.
That's crazy.
It's funny, too, because originally they went down to $150, and then not long after that, they just said $99. Yep. But you got another fun fact I want to add is that, in case you didn't know, it's pretty popular knowledge, but it was supposed to be capable of producing 3D gaming, but, nothing used it. So, unfortunately, a feature that they would never end up implementing. Some notable titles for this system include, of course, Super Smash Bros. Melee, Super Mario Sunshine, Luigi's Mansion, Pikmin 1 and 2, Metroid Prime 1 and 2, Legend of Zelda Wind Waker, and Twilight Princess. There's a bunch of other ones, and I know Landon's going to unload a bunch of them on me in T-minus 2 seconds.
Did I do it?
Even
my mouth was open.
Yeah. You did it. Even when you adjust for inflation, $99 in 2003 is only $170 today.
Yeah, imagine a console costing $180 today.
For the Nintendo GameCube, what a fucking steal.
We're gonna get into it, but I think the GameCube could easily be argued as one of the most underrated systems of its time that became extremely beloved afterwards.
Yeah.
There's people nowadays that would genuinely tell you the GameCube's one of the best systems out there.
If you go to any used game store, it doesn't matter where, any used game store, their selection of GameCube games is going to be by far the smallest selection of any video game system in the store, barring things that they don't have anything for. Yeah, because there is it is so fucking hard to find acclaimed and popular GameCube games in the year 2023.
Yep. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's It's just they're worth a shit ton.
Oh yeah,
and they're really hard to find.
You'd be surprised, you'd be surprised to see a GameCube game cost less than $20. Like, most of them cost at least $20, and a lot of them cost $50, $60, $70, $80, $100. Landon's got a copy of Fire Emblem Path of Radiance. That's an extremely expensive game.
How much
Speaking
is that?
of...
$200+?
No. I went to a used game store when I was in Detroit for the weekend with my friends. I looked in the cabinets, like the locked cabinets, and saw a disc-only copy of Fire Emblem Path of Radiance, and I don't remember the exact price, but it was like over $250.
My lord.
I have my receipt for when I bought this.
In the case?
Was it like $100?
$75.
That's a steal.
In 2015, it is complete in box.
That's insane.
Is that did you buy that from Video Game Wizards?
I did.
Nice. Shout out to Video Game Wizards in Portland, Oregon.
So let's get into the GameCube. What are you guys' experiences with it?
Everything. The GameCube was like the only home console I owned until I got a Wii in 2007. So if it would, admittedly, when I was a kid, I think I talked about this in one of our previous podcasts, but like I was more a fan of like handheld games when I was a kid than like home consoles. Like I liked playing like home console games like multiplayer, but if I was playing by myself, I kind of preferred like my Game Boy Advance or my DS or whatever, just because it's like you can take it anywhere. You know, you're not locked to a single room.
You could hide under your blankets and play it.
Yeah,
you could go to the local park and sit down and play it.
I would never.
You
do
could take you could take it on long car trips. You could go sit out on the sidewalk with your friends on a Saturday morning in May of 2005 and play Pokemon Emerald. It's a
very specific
memory, but either way, I'm going on a tangent. The GameCube was the only console I had for a while. But like even if my focus was like probably shifted more towards the handhelds, I still spent a lot of time on the GameCube, and so did my dad, honestly. Like that was like my dad actually was pretty into video games back then. He would buy like baseball games or racing games or football or whatever the fuck, and we would just play those together, and that would be, you know, that was a fun time. And then I would play, you know, the Nintendo shit when I was playing by myself. So yeah, fun fact, I still have my GameCube from when I was a kid, and I still have the exact same GameCube controller that it came with in the box. So, hell yeah.
Nice. So I mentioned this when we were first talking about like when we first got our systems, but I didn't get my own GameCube until 2007, pretty late. I remember first games I got for it were Sonic Adventure DX, Sonic Adventure 2 Battle, Sonic Heroes. Because I just wanted to play all the Sonic games that were on it, honestly. Because my first actual experience with a GameCube was in when I was in foster care when I was 10, late 2002. My cousin had a GameCube, so we would get to play it together. And there was Sonic Adventure 2 Battle that we played. There was a Mario Party game, probably Mario Party 4. And then there was a soccer game. I don't remember the name of it, but I just remember that like you could set the ball on fire and kick it into people, and it was funny. It wasn't like a serious soccer game. It was like a cartoon soccer game.
That's awesome.
So yeah, it was so fun. I really wish I knew the name of the game was. I'll have to look into it, but I mean, I said it's late 2002, so it was in the first year of the system's life. So it was pretty fun playing those games. And then I would play a little bit more when one of my friends a few years later had one, and we played some Mario Kart Double Dash. And I had other friends that had it because Super Smash Bros. Melee, so I played a lot of Super Smash Bros. Melee with friends that had the GameCube. So it wasn't until I got a GameCube that I could actually do it myself and I could play Mario, Sunshine, and Melee. And sorry, my throat is really scratchy, so like I'm trying to get my voice to not like just die on me. But yeah, I played a lot more of these games once I finally got the system, but 2 years later I would get a Wii, and then the Wii would just be my GameCube at the same time. So a lot of my GameCube experiences also mesh into when I had a Wii, because I just started continuing to play stuff off that too. So, kind of late bloomer with the GameCube. I probably have the least experience out of the three of us with this system, actually.
Lennon?
Oh, I'm supposed
Lennon
to talk.
Is,
Yeah.
yeah.
Hi, that's me.
Hi.
I'm Landon.
You
Sometimes
are
I
Landon.
forget my own name, and
You
Just
kinda
nods.
that's why I have the note.
Just kind of sit there.
That's why I have the
Yeah,
note that says,
gotta have the note.
"Hi, my name is Landon." I just have to look at that.
Gotta
Anyway,
remind yourself.
GameCube. I played it once. I own one.
Is it?
I guess I played it more than that. You got your Mario Party, whatever, 4, 5, 6. Those ones are on there. You got your Pokemon
7 too.
Coliseum and Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness. Go watch the Great Ace Attorney VODs.
Hell yeah.
You got your... I mentioned the Dragon Ball fighting games. You got Budokai 1 and 2 that I played a lot of. You got your Animal Crossing. Played a lot of Animal Crossing. Yeah. I played a... It was, at the time, the system I played the most of for a console. Like, because like the three ones that I think of as growing up, so pre-Wii era, is 64, PS2, and GameCube were my home consoles, whereas like Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance SP were like my handhelds. And I played a fuck ton of Game Boy Advance SP, but we're not talking about that right now. We're talking about GameCube.
GameCube.
Oh, and yeah, I also played pretty much all the Sonics on it too. Gotta love the Mega Collection, and you gotta love the Gems Collection.
Yeah.
If you
those are
don't,
solid.
Hell yeah.
I'm legally allowed to shoot you, so please disclose your
I
address.
still have
It's
my
true.
of all the games that I have or had on my GameCube, I still do have my copy of Gems Collection.
That's good.
I don't know
yeah.
what happened to my copy of Sonic Adventure DX or Sonic Adventure 2 Battle, which sucks. But I have Gems Collection, and I have XD Gale of Darkness still.
Good.
Hell yeah.
Do you have the promo disc for Coliseum?
I do not.
Okay. Well,
Even when I had Coliseum before I sold it because I had to make some extra money for bills and stuff like that at the time, it didn't have the disc.
well, it has
I
its
bought
own
it.
separate case and everything. It's like its own thing. It was cool. Anyway,
So, what would you say are some of your favorite games for the system?
Boy. Where do you start with this system?
Animal Crossing.
Metroid Prime.
Start with A. You work your way down.
Start with A. A for Animal Crossing.
B.
B for
Monkey Ball Super.
Ball, comma, Super Monkey.
Yeah.
But thank you for reminding me about Super Monkey Ball and Super Monkey Ball 2, which are great GameCube games. Wind Waker fucking rules.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, you
Paper
just
Mar-
skipped out most of the alphabet.
What? I'm
just
not
kidding.
going by the fucking whatever,
I'm
man.
kidding. I'm kidding.
Wind Waker, fucking Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door,
Oh yeah, that's a
Pokemon.
really good one.
Pokemon Coliseum and XD, fucking Mario Kart Double Dash.
Mario Strikers.
I like to Super Mario Strikers was the GameCube one.
Yeah.
Great game. I'm gonna give mention to some games that I'm pretty sure among the three of us, only I played. Shoutouts to MVP Baseball 2004 and 2005, the best baseball games ever made. NFL Street, NBA Street, all three of them. There were 3 NBA Street games on the GameCube. The first one has not aged very well, but the second and third ones are great. Fucking... I think that was it for all the weird ones that I was going to mention.
Either of you ever played Disney's Extreme Skate Adventure?
No.
I did not. I know of that game, but I've not played it.
Is it actually good?
I mean, it runs off the Pro Skater 4, the Tony Hawk Pro Skater 4 engine.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
It's
really?
a Disney skin.
No,
they just made a Disney skater with the Tony Hawk Pro Skater engine.
No, I've heard it's a good game.
It's good.
It has I'm pretty sure it has like a licensed soundtrack too.
Yeah, no.
Like, it's pretty much just like Tony Hawk for kids.
I played it as a kid. I think we rented it, so because I never owned it. But I remember I would make the fattest kid I could, and do the sickest tricks I could.
Hell yeah. But speaking of the Tony Hawk games on the GameCube, there are a shitload of good ones. Fucking Pro Skater 3, 4, Underground, Underground 2, and American Wasteland were all on the GameCube. And those are all fantastic games. Like, the GameCube
also on the PS2.
Also on the PS2. But growing up, I played the Tony Hawk games on the GameCube, so I always associate those with the GameCube, but yeah, they are also on the PS2.
I would say, it's interesting to note, the multi-platform games this generation were most of the time pretty even across the board. Like, you could get it for anything and it'd be the same experience.
There were, I will say...
So for Sonic...
I mean, there was a couple exceptions, but... Except for notably Sonic.
Yeah.
Especially Heroes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
God, the PS2 version is not good.
It's not good.
It's not good.
It's not good.
The GameCube was honestly a good system for Sonic if you ignore Shadow the Hedgehog.
And even then, it's still the best version of a not good game.
Yeah. I mean,
Adventure music.
Adventure DX,
better.
Adventure DX, Adventure 2 Battle, Heroes. Those are all good games. I'll fucking pick up and play those games any day and probably beat them in one sitting because I've played them a million times. I used to play the shit out of those. I would just replay levels in those games over and over again.
Oh yeah, me too.
I'm probably... Never mind.
I would say that my favorites are probably really normie picks, like Sonic Adventure 2 Battle,
Boo.
Super Smash Bros. Melee,
Boo.
Super Mario Sunshine,
Boo.
Hey, don't boo Sunshine.
Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness. Just pointing, but not actually saying boo.
Not actually saying anything.
Just stuff like that it's like the normie stuff, because I didn't get to experience, I didn't have time to get into the other games really. I just kind of had time to scratch the surface. That was it. What would you say are some of your favorites, Landon?
Oh, I thought I already did this. Metroid Prime 2 and Wind Waker.
That's it?
Chibi Robo and Pikmin 2 and Custom Robo.
Hey, Pikmin 1 was also sick.
Pikmin 1 was...
Yeah, but he likes Pikmin 2.
Pikmin 2,
I mean, fair.
You can make $1 bajillion.
That's true.
Yeah. Just look it up. It's true.
Yeah.
Those... what was another one? Mario Golf for it.
Toadstool Tour?
Toadstool Tour was really good.
Hell yeah.
I loved that.
That one's good. I have that one.
Oh.
Sorry,
go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I was going to let you finish your naming your favorites.
Perfect.
But,
go ahead.
I was gonna okay. I was gonna ask, do you guys remember what your first GameCube game was?
I answered
when you got a GameCube.
It was
did you?
It was the
Yeah,
Pac-Man.
I did too.
Yeah.
Oh, you did answer that. That's right. My bad.
Sonic Adventure 2 Battle.
Mine was Backyard Football 2002
Good answer.
for the game, which was a weird experience at the time because like up to that point I had only known that franchise as a PC game, so playing it on a GameCube was weird.
It's funny, like when Sonic Adventure 2 came out, I remember seeing advertisements for the Dreamcast version, and I was excited to play it. But me being a kid, I didn't know what a Dreamcast even was. And then it came out for the Nintendo GameCube, and everybody was talking about it on Schoolyard. And I remember, oh, it's on a Nintendo console. I could play that. And then I had like a couple friends that had it, and I played it. So that was how I ended up getting. Like, I was hyped for Sonic Adventure 2, despite 9-year-old me never having played the first game. I just remember seeing that black hedgehog, and I was like, "Oh, he looks cool."
All right, I have to add a couple.
And thus the
games.
autism began.
God damn it.
Okay, so a couple games we have not mentioned for the Cube that are awesome. F-Zero GX.
Fuck yeah.
I already showed off my copy of Path of Radiance. Godzilla Destroy All Monsters Melee. Fucking fantastic.
Have not. Actually, I think I have played that game.
That one's really good.
It's been a long time.
It still holds up. I played it, I think, last year. It's real good.
Nice.
Kirby Air Ride.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Mega Man X Command Mission, which was also on the PS2, whatever. Don't care. And then... where was it? Oh, Soul Calibur 2. Specifically the GameCube good version, because you could play as Link. I don't care about the other versions.
Fun fact, Link is dog shit in that game.
True, but he was so fun because he was Link.
True.
So, you had the Star Wars Bounty Hunter and Star Wars Rogue Leader games. If Justin was here, he would just talk about those ad nauseam.
For about 5 to 10 minutes.
Yeah. The Beautiful Joe 1 and 2.
Oh, fuck. I can't believe I forgot Beautiful Joe.
Which were, also PlayStation games. But then most importantly, and I think this was also another one that I got around the time when I got the system, Spyro Enter the Dragonfly. Cloud, your thoughts?
Why would you list that one?
Why would I save that to last?
Why would you even put that one anywhere? That doesn't belong anywhere at all.
And yet, you're going to talk about Kingdom Hearts, so here we go.
We're not doing this. We are not comparing Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2 to actual dog shit. We are not doing this. So that goes for the home consoles for this generation. There were 4 handhelds that I mentioned earlier, so let's go through them really quick. You had the Neo Geo Pocket Color, released on August 6, 1999.
Pass.
In North America for $69.95. Nice.
Nice.
It was backwards compatible with the Neo Geo Pocket, if you had one. But then it was discontinued in 2000 outside of Japan anyway, so like we had it for less than a year. And then they were like, oh, this is dog shit.
That's really funny.
There was one notable game for it.
Sonic Pocket Adventure.
Sonic the Hedgehog Pocket Adventure. There's a bunch of sports games on there as well. I don't care about those.
They probably suck ass.
Exactly. Sonic the Hedgehog Pocket Adventure. That's it. Bandai Wonder Swan and Wonder Swan Color.
Pass.
I put this here, but notably, it did not actually come out over here. But it still managed to sell 3.5 million units, so I'm just going to talk about it real quick. Didn't come out outside of Japan. There was 3 models. There was the Wonder Swan Color, and the Wonder Swan Crystal. Don't ask me what the Wonder Swan Crystal is. I didn't bother looking up any more information on it.
Ask Pixel
on
Discord.
But interestingly, you could play the device either horizontally or vertically. There was button layouts to accommodate both of those layouts, which was pretty interesting. The only notable games I really could find was basically like touched up ports of what were already on the PS1 for Final Fantasy 1, 2, and 4, and those would be later put on the Game Boy Advance. And like there's almost nothing else. There's like some interesting stuff, but it's all Japan only anyway. And so like there's not a lot there. The Nokia N-Gage actually came out came out last out of the 4 of these, but we're not going to talk about it, so I'm just going to go over it real quick.
Yeah, we're passing.
Came out on October 7th, 2003. Pretty much only in the United States. You want to know how much it cost when it came out?
$8 billion.
Close enough.
$17.
$299.
What the fuck?
I think
for a mobile phone. Yeah, for a mobile phone handheld game system hybrid. $300.
That's fucking stupid.
And the best part,
awesome.
There's like 50 games for it. That's it. And almost all of them are just ports of existing games. Like, the most popular game on the system is Sonic N, which is literally Sonic Advance, but worse because of the screen. So, I mean, you could play Puyo Pop on it, I guess. It has a Puyo Puyo game. Okay, moving on. The only important handheld for this generation, and I'm not even being sarcastic, I'm literally being serious, this is the only important one, the Nintendo Game Boy Advance, released on June 11, 2001 in North America for a crisp $99.99.
Hell yeah.
It was compatible with your Game Boy and Game Boy Color library. More on that later. It dominated the handheld market of the generation with 81.5 million units sold.
I have 2 of those in a drawer down here.
Yeah.
That's a shit ton.
There's a lot of Game Boy Advance out there. And because of how popular it was, we'd get 2 later revisions, mainly. We got the Game Boy Advance SP, which is very popular. Got your clamshell design, rechargeable battery. You got a actual light for your screen. First it was front lit, then it was backlit. Just a bunch of innovation there. And then they came out with the Game Boy Micro. I guess it's cute, but I don't know why they.
I kind of wish I owned a Game Boy Micro.
It's cool for the novelty.
Yeah,
but
literally.
But the Micro also took out compatibility with Game Boy games, so like.
It's the DSi of the Game Boy Advance.
Yeah,
line.
if you only want to play the one game library and you want it on a cute screen and form factor, okay.
It's like absurdly small. Like the cartridge is like 3/4 the width of the system.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Might be a little more too, honestly. Some notable titles though, you got the Generation 3 Pokemon games, just pretty much all of them. You got Super Mario Advance series, there's 4 games in that series. I've actually played a couple of these over on the Twitch channel, so if you want to check out the VODs for those on YouTube, they're there. You got Advance Wars 1 and 2, Golden Sun, got the Sonic Advance trilogy, Legend of Zelda, Minish Cap, Metroid Fusion, Kirby Nightmare and Dreamland. There's a bunch of others. We'll talk about a bunch of them. In fact, what is your experience with the Game Boy Advance, everybody?
My eyeballs were glued to the Game Boy Advance as long as I was allowed to when I was a kid.
Oh, yeah.
And a lot of it was spent playing Pokemon.
Oh, yeah.
But my God, I wasted so many hours of my life just staring at the Game Boy Advance screen. Yeah, it was until I got a DS, it was by far the thing I spent my most amount of time on. And then when I got a DS, it became that. But yeah, it was pretty much my console of choice for 5 years, 4 years. Actually, it would have been 4 years. But yeah.
So I know I got it. I'm blanking. I think I got it in 2001. Maybe it was 2002 for my birthday. Probably 2002 for my birthday. I remember I had the regular base Indigo model Game Boy Advance until they came out with the SP. And then I got the SP in 2004? Yeah, no, 2004 sounds about right. 2005, somewhere in that ballpark. I got one of like the regular cobalt blue ones. So as Jack said, my eyes were glued to that screen, especially after the SP came out and I could just recharge the battery all day long, and I had a light so I could play it at night and not go to bed even though I'm supposed to because I'm like 13 years old. Like, I spent so many hours. 600 hours on Pokemon Ruby. 400 hours on Pokemon Emerald. Like another 400 hours on Pokemon Leaf Green. Dozens of hours on the Sonic Advance trilogy. It goes on and on.
You said indigo was the color you had for the first Game Boy Advance?
I'm pretty sure that's what it was. It was purple or indigo. I know it was the color that they released it with.
Yeah, the default color. I tried looking up like the launch colors, and it turns out like because the one I had was like I think it's called platinum. I don't know. It was gray basically.
I know which one you're talking about. I didn't see those around a lot either.
Yeah, that was the one that I had, and honestly, like all of my friends had ones that were like cool colors, like they had indigo or they had like the translucent blue.
I was gonna say the translucent blue and the translucent pink ones, no lie, are like the prettiest ones.
So sick.
They're so good looking.
So like I always got kind of like looking back, like the one I had was pretty cool, but like at the time I was like jealous of all of these cooler colors that I would see.
See, I didn't have that feeling when I got my Game Boy Advance because one, I'm not the biggest fan of purple, and two, somehow my kid brain knew it was like one of the only like versions that was out like immediately. So I didn't feel special. It was like, yeah, I got a Game Boy Advance. It's like the same color as like everyone else's.
Yeah.
But no, there was a lot of colors for the Game Boy Advance, especially the Game Boy Advance SP. They had a bunch of different colors for.
I remember when the Game Boy Advance SP launched, there was a similar color to the one that I had for my regular Game Boy Advance, like platinum or
it was the
gray or
platinum
whatever
one.
it is.
I want to get Landon in on this though, because he didn't get to really talk. I want to ask him what his experience was with the Game Boy Advance.
Hi, thanks for asking. Okay, no background noise. Hi, I'm Landon again. I played
Hi, Landon.
way too much Pokemon as well.
We're just a bunch of Gen 3 Pokemon stans.
I am anyway.
I never said
I don't know
which
about
generation I played on my Game Boy Advance SP, but
True.
I did play a lot of Gen 3.
You probably played. You played a lot of Silver version, I assume.
I played a lot of Silver Gold as well, but no, I played a lot of Ruby and Leaf Green, a decent amount of the other three, Sapphire and Emerald and Fire Red.
That's crazy. We both picked the same version for each of the pairs.
Yeah, Ruby and Leaf Green were my main two.
I also had Ruby and Leaf Green.
Yeah.
Ruby, Leaf Green, boys.
There we go. We're just gonna rename the whole channel. Ruby and Leaf Green.
Ruby, Leaf Green.
That's it.
Yeah, that's it. That's the channel. But no, I wanted to ask. So, you mentioned what Game Boy models did you mentioned you had the regular Game Boy Advance in like a gray, and then you got the SP in like a silver platinum. I had the indigo blue Game Boy Advance and the cobalt blue Game Boy Advance SP to start. And then I have the one that I showed in our game collection on Patreon if people subscribe to that one. Yes, Jeff?
I did not actually. I didn't have the Game Boy Advance SP in the platinum gray, whatever. I wanted to make sure that I didn't. When the SP came out, because I wanted something different. So I got the red.
You got the red one, okay.
The red one was the model that I had as a kid. Although the one that I currently have is blue.
And then, which ones did you get, Landon?
I always thought the original Game Boy Advance looked like horseshit dog shit. And it's nothing against you, Jack. Don't take it personal. It's against someone when I was in 4th grade who had one. And I was like, but I don't have that. So it looks like horseshit dog shit. And he was playing Gen 3 Pokemon. I was like, I don't like that. That's not Pokemon Silver. I can't play that on my Game Boy Color.
It's horseshit dog shit.
Horseshit dog shit. So I had the Cobalt Blue Game Boy Advance SP. My sister got the red one. So I also have a red one.
Nice.
Thanks, Ashlyn.
Shout out to Ashlyn.
Shout out to Ashlyn. Wherever she may be in the world.
Last appearance in a Gaming Stooges video was 9 years ago.
Something like that.
Wow. Shout outs to back in the day when she used to cameo in our Let's Plays.
Yeah, when she would just shout at me when I was...
Who's Jampad?
Who's Jampad? Well, she didn't shout that into a... That's her famous line that I will always remember.
Yep.
Yeah, so the Game Boy Advance, good system, great system, excellent system.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, like that's like it's a good all around system. Solid. Can't hate it. If you hate it, once again, I'm legally allowed to kill you. Disclose your address, please.
Yes. And your social security number, please.
And your mother's maiden name.
So this might be tough. I want you can you pick out 5 games that you would say are like your top 5 for GBA?
Oh, okay.
For GBA?
Yeah.
Oh, that's easy.
Pokemon
That's actually not that
Ruby,
hard.
Pokemon Sapphire, Pokemon Emerald, Blue, Green, Fire, Red. 5 games. I mean, those are the 5 I spent the most time on.
There's no way you would put all Pokemon in your top 5. That's never happened.
No, I wouldn't. But I mean, if
it's representative of the time you spent on the system.
Yes.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
No, but like your 5 favorites. He's gonna go back and he's gonna say the same 5.
I give me a second to think about it. Honestly,
I can name mine.
You can?
Yeah.
All right, let's hear it.
Pokemon Emerald, Metroid Zero Mission, The Legend of Zelda: The Minish Cap, Wario Land 4, and Super Mario Advance 4, Super Mario Brothers 3.
Okay. I would
but if not that, then Pokemon Pinball Ruby and Sapphire.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go off of the assumption that I'm not doing any ports remakes. So no Kirby's Nightmare in Dreamland, no Super Mario Advance stuff. I would definitely say Pokemon Emerald, Pokemon Leaf Green, Sonic Advance 3, Advance Wars, and then the last one's tough, but I'd probably say Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Red Rescue Team.
That's a good choice.
I loved Red Rescue Team. And I didn't even fully own it. I borrowed it from a friend. I think he let me keep it after a while because he didn't care. He was like, you could just have it. So for a bit I had that and it was so good. I played so much of that.
So
yeah,
if we're talking right now, Dragon Ball Advanced Adventure would be up there for sure.
Oh yeah, that's a good pick.
I'd probably still say probably Pokemon Leaf Green and Ruby. I mean, you can the Pokemon, the 2 Pokemon games for it are good.
Mm-hmm.
Fire Emblem, I'd probably go Sacred Stones. But both Fire Emblem games are really good on it.
You know what? If I was picking I forgot. If I was picking now today, I'd probably say Golden Sun over Advance Wars.
Oh, that's fair. Golden Sun's really good.
Golden Sun was so good.
If it's a back in the day choice, probably Mega Man Battle Network. Because the Mega Man Battle Network games, I put a little bit of time into those and had some fun. Yeah.
I've never actually played those games.
I heard they were good. I would say I actually have to, now that I think about it, before Pokemon came out for Game Boy Advance, Advance Wars probably saved my perception of the GBA because so I had a GBA and then I went into foster care, but my mom couldn't find my GBA, so I hadn't played it in a while. And I had been playing my Game Boy Color and I was perfectly content with it. I didn't need anything else. So I was and the only game I had for Game Boy Advance was the Monsters Inc. one, and there was a couple other licensed games that I didn't care for. So my opinion for the Game Boy Advance was not very high until I played Advance Wars. I was like, oh, Game Boy Advance games can be really good. So like that was like the system seller for me, I guess. Even though I never actually bought it till years later.
That's fine. I mean, Advance Wars 1 and 2 are solid games, so...
Solid games.
Yeah, that's fair.
So that about does it for the... Basically just a quick summary of our experiences over the... Yeah, quick. It was a little over an hour. It was faster than the last time we did this, honestly. It's interesting. But we're going to go back, and I'd like to ask... Of all the stuff that we talked about, what would you say are your favorite systems? Like 2 or 3. And we're also going to do what we did last time when we finish answering that.
You mean like favorite systems from this generation?
Yes.
GBA, GameCube, PS2.
Yeah.
Pretty easy, right, for you?
Yeah.
For me... Yeah, I wanted to pretend. I was like, maybe...
I was going to say, is there going to be a different answer for any of us? Because those are the 3 choices.
Yeah, it's pretty much it, right?
I mean...
GBA, PS2, GameCube.
The only other thing you could, like, really say is the Dreamcast.
Dreamcast?
But...
True.
None of us
have, like, the experience, like, the childhood experience with the Dreamcast to really, like, say. Yeah. And also, like...
We don't have the nostalgia bias to, like, go with it.
And also, like... Even if the library of games for the Dreamcast is really sick, it only lasted for a year and a half. There's not a whole... The good stuff is really good, but there's not a whole lot there.
Yeah, because at least the GameCube had a good, 5 years or so before. So it had a lot of time to build up a library. Yeah, so... last time when we did the console wars, we each took a side, we picked a console, and we tried to basically pitch it to you, try to win you over on it. So we're going to do that again. Do you guys remember the systems that you will be representing here?
Fuck no.
I think I'm Dreamcast, right?
You're Dreamcast. Landon, you get to be GameCube.
Oh, cool.
I'm the PS2.
I get an easy job.
Exactly. So
was Trader supposed to do Xbox and Cheese Whiz is supposed to do Game Boy Advance?
I think we were supposed to do something like that. I'll just say for the Xbox, because we don't have anybody actually representing it. The Xbox was a pioneer for its time. It pioneered online gaming as a norm for systems. You had internal storage, which is really important for games consoles to have nowadays, so you can store your games and your save files and everything like that. And it was a very powerful console for its time. Like the Xbox, like graphically and just power-wise speaking, blew the competition out of the water, with the GameCube being the only thing that came remotely close. So if you wanted the most graphically intensive and impressive games, you go to Xbox. If you want to play some good shooters, more mature games that you might be able to play with friends, might be able to play by yourself, probably going to Xbox, with some exceptions. But I mean, there's a lot of multi-platform stuff, and we're going to probably talk about that when we just start talking about the different systems. Let's hear from Jack, though, about his defense of the Dreamcast.
The Dreamcast, it kind of I don't want to say revolutionized video game systems, but I don't know, for its time, the Dreamcast was a very, very high-powered, disc-based system that didn't have the god-awful load times of the PS1. It has a very strong library of both first-party games and multi-platforms. It has some of the most acclaimed sports titles of all time, I'm pretty sure. I think it's NFL 2K1 is has one of the highest meta scores of all time. Let's see. It has the best versions of the first 2 Tony Hawk games in terms of performance. The first-party content from Sega is really strong. There's a ton of new IP, new fresh IPs that are so like looked back upon fondly that only got 1 or 2 games after that, if any.
There's a timeline where the Dreamcast lived longer, and these IP actually just became long-running series.
I fucking wish. Like, I would kill for the Jet Set Radio franchise. But anyway, yeah, I don't know how much more I can say. I think it was the first system to have online play. I mean, like, not in the same way that Xbox would do it, but, the fact that it had online play at all was pretty crazy.
You essentially had, like, DLC that you could kind of unlock. It was interesting.
And also, like, the little VMUs that you can unplug from your controllers, and they are their own little tiny system, and you could, like, take your Chow with you from Sonic Adventure. And you could, like, look down, and it's like a tiny little screen before the Wii U. But, yeah, it was a very ambitious system. For sure. And I think that's about all I have to say.
Alright. Listen here. PlayStation 2. I don't gotta tell you about the PlayStation 2. We got all those multi-platform games that everybody else got. All those games that you guys like that are on every system, we got them too. We got a lot of exclusives that these other guys don't even have these games. There's so many games. There's literally thousands of games. We got Katamari Damacy if you want really weird shit. We got Final Fantasy X if you want something more traditional. We got whatever you want, we got it. We got every genre covered. And you know those movies you guys like to watch all the time? We could play those. We could play those before that other guy that we talked about over there, Xbox. I don't know. Who's he? I don't know. We could play those. We're a DVD player and a game system. And we got all the games and all the movies. We literally are a $200 multimedia player, and we do everything. Yeah, that's my TED Talk.
Damn. I have to follow up that.
Yeah. I don't know. I wanted to be present day smug Sony. I think I nailed it, right?
I think you did. Fuck you.
All right, cool.
I have Smash Brothers Melee and a handle.
Okay, here's the thing. You can't praise Smash Brothers Melee when you don't give a shit about Smash Brothers.
I, Landon, don't have to give a shit about Smash Brothers.
True.
But
the GameCube does.
The salesman. That's all I have to sell you on. I just have to sell you on
the handle.
On the handle, so you can take it over to your your bros, so you can play 4-player Smash Brothers Melee.
And beat someone over the head with it when they do something wrong to you.
Yeah, exactly. So, there you go. You might have thousands of video games and whatnot, but, do you have Smash Brothers Melee? Do you have anything remotely close to Smash Brothers Melee?
No.
Okay.
My little brother does, and everybody kind of made fun of him for it, so.
Alright. Well, there we go.
Buzzing. Shots fired, PlayStation All-Stars.
I think that's unfortunately the strongest case I can make for the GameCube, because, yes, performance-wise, fantastic console. Library-wise, we got your goods. We actually have things that the 64 did not. It wish it had. We brought things that were on the 64 in Japan over to the West for the first time. We got some of your weird shit. We got some of your great shit. The only issue is, well, we didn't have as much third-party support, really. But if you want first and second-party support, we got you. It's like we got Sunshine.
The GameCube did have a lot of that.
We got your home console Pokemon games. Some true Pokemon exploration. We got
RPGs.
Yeah, there you go. We got Metroid. We brought Metroid back. We did 2 of them. We did Fire Emblem. We did one of those. So, yeah.
Oh, almost said you did 2 of them.
Almost did 2 of them. Thought about it. We saved one.
The
for
other one
Wii.
got pushed back.
Oh, I think we forgot to mention Twilight Princess for GameCube games.
No, I did.
He talked about it.
Oh, did
very,
you?
Yeah.
very briefly.
We got
My bad.
Yeah, we didn't talk.
we
about
got several Zelda games. Two of which,
Yeah.
several.
I mean, yeah, there's,
new.
two main Zeldas. There was Four Swords Adventure, another game that you can play with your bros. But that costs an arm and a leg because you need 5 different video game systems, 4 different cables that are specialized, and I guess a TV and a power generator to power it all. Because fuck. But I mean, you also had the Ocarina of Time Master Quest, and you had the Zelda Collector's Edition, which had 1, 2, Ocarina of Time, and Majora's Mask all on the disc. So
That's a really good
yeah,
collection.
it's a solid collection. So if you like Zelda, Cube has a good amount on there.
All right.
You know, I mean,
So
it's like when you come down to it, as far as like clear winner of that generation, it's PS2. Like,
yeah.
are we gonna come here and try and spin a fabulous tale for you of the underdog Dreamcast? No. We live in reality.
No, fuck no.
We live in this reality
But-
specifically.
Yeah, we do.
So
Yeah.
But
That,
on the
this
on the flip side, it's not like you completely lose out picking another system. There's still a lot there to play.
yes, that is the great thing about
Unless-
this.
Just not as much.
Go ahead, Jack.
unless you picked the Neo Geo Pocket Color,
Yeah.
In
If
which-
you
in
pick the
which
Neo
case
Geo
you-
Pocket Color, then just fuck you.
you made the incorrect choice. Try again.
Yeah.
You know, you guys are really trying to piss off Pixel, aren't you?
I mean, I would learn Japanese to play the Wonder Swan before playing the Neo Geo Pocket
Wow.
Color.
Fair.
Based on the library available for each of them.
That's fair.
Either way, I mean, like Landon was saying, like, obviously, like, the thing to take away from all of this is that no matter what your favorite console from this generation is, the Wii won.
Get over it.
Get over it. But, yeah, the PS2 is obviously the winner.
But the winner in my heart was...
And a lot of that was because of the DVD player.
Yeah. But it does have, like...
But, I mean, it still has
that
an insane library.
fucking library. It has...
Not to say that the PS2 doesn't have an insane library, but so does the GameCube. And it sold way fucking less than the PS2.
But it doesn't have the Sly trilogy, so...
Listen, the PS2 had a more insane library than that. Maybe not 7 times that much, but
No.
still quite a lot more. But I mean, at least there is good games on any of them. It's not quite like the evened out affair that we had the last generation we talked about, which is the next generation with the next system.
We really did this super
I worded
well.
that wrong. Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
So we're gonna wrap up here. We usually do this every week, 2 weeks. We have to catch up on how we're doing. Off-topic discussions for the night. How's everybody been? Anything new, exciting you've been up to? Share with class.
Well, now you're making it sound like a presentation.
It is a
Share with-
presentation.
share
I see
with the
something.
class.
I see something very visually striking behind you on your bed, and I was assuming you might talk about it.
Oh, I just put it there because it's Spookfest and I wanted something spooky in the background
Okay.
because usually the background is kind of this is going to make no for the podcast listeners, there is a copy of Cannibal Corpse's Tomb of the Mutilated behind me. And yeah, I just put it there because it's spooky.
And it's covering a box for a Nintendo Switch.
I needed something to rest the album on, so
Oh, okay.
I just grabbed that box.
Okay, that's fair.
That's unrelated though. As far as what I've been up to, it was when did we record our last podcast? Like 2 weeks
Like
ago.
2 weeks ago.
Yeah, roughly. It was like end of September.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I didn't do a whole lot for like the most of the 2 weeks between the last podcast and now. But this past weekend, I went to go see Fiddlehead in Detroit with one of my friends, and I also spent the weekend with a few friends, and it was a great time. We did some fucking shopping, and we went bowling, and we went to some bars, and it was fun. Had a good weekend. Today sucked ass. I worked, and then I had to mow my lawn in the dark because I don't have an opportunity to mow my lawn any earlier in the day than after work when I get off at 7. And it gets dark early now. And it's raining tomorrow, so I kind of had to.
Nice.
But that's about it for me. I started... in terms of... I'm trying to think. Had I finished... I'm pretty sure when we did our last podcast, I mentioned I'd finished Jujutsu Kaisen, or at least the first season.
Yeah.
Watched the movie for that, which was also sick. This past weekend, I watched the entirety of Heavenly Delusions. Or is it Heavenly Delusions singular? I don't remember. It's... I forget its Japanese name.
You're asking me? I've never heard of this thing.
It's a very, it's not a super popular anime, but it's it was really fucking good, honestly. It's like a kind of future post-apocalypse mystery type anime with 2 different separate plot lines going on, and it's weird. It's what is it? Tengoku Daimakyo is its Japanese name,
Gesundheit.
and it's yeah. It's really fucking good. I watched the entire thing in 2 days, and I hope that it gets a second season.
Okay.
And that's it for me.
All right. Trying to think. Last 2 weeks. Okay. I didn't really do anything new. I've been kind of busy picking up some extra hours at work. My girlfriend's mom has to move. She's going to still be living in the same area, but she has to move because the building that she was in was meant for 2 residents, and they have a housing financing situation, so they have to move her to a section by herself, and since she is old enough, they're going to be moving her to the elderly section. So I told my girlfriend we're going to help her finish cleaning out the stuff, not just for her, but for her mom to help her move in the next couple of weeks. So last night in our Discord server, I had posted this huge collection of manga, because that was most of the manga that my girlfriend had brought over. So she has a wall that's just all of her manga, because we have to get a bookcase for it now. So basically we're just going to be trying to clean up the apartment a bit to move a bunch of extra stuff in. And I got a new Elgato finally. I didn't have a whole lot of luck with using it today, but I have one. It works. I can get back to recording the last couple Let's Plays for our YouTube channel, which are Kingdom Hearts 2 and Sonic the Hedgehog 2006.
Hell yeah.
I can go back to picking out whatever I damn well want to stream off whatever system I want to stream it off.
Where once and for all, the Let's Play curse will be lifted.
Yes. And then we'll just have incredible luck on all of our streams for the rest of our life, because it's exactly how that works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be totally cool.
And then we become world famous Twitch streamers and get our own television series.
That's badass. I want this.
It is badass.
And then we got an intro where the guy yells GamingStooges like Mr. Beast, but Gaming Stooges.
I don't want that.
Don't do that.
I want to die.
We're firing that person before they're even hired.
Whoever came up with that idea should be fired. Cloud, unfortunately, I have to fire you.
Damn it. Wait a minute, you don't get to do that. That's up to Mr. Gaming Stooges and his tie over here.
Hi, it's me,
it's true.
Mr. Gaming Stooge. I've delegated the task of firing Cloud to Jack.
Wow.
I'm too busy playing
Cloud, you're fired.
Dragon Ball Z Dokkan Battle. Alright, let's get this started.
Speaking of Dragon Ball Z Dokkan Battle, all right, let's get this started. Being something you're doing right now, what have you been up to?
I also have been playing more Octopath Traveler, and I've also been playing more The Legend of Nayuta Boundless Trails. I actually finished up Chapter 4 of Nayuta right before we started this.
Nice.
You know, both games are still fun. We went and saw Chris Farron. If you noticed my cup to go right over here.
Hell yeah, baby. I'm going to see Chris Farron this weekend.
Saw Chris Farron, and I picked up a cup to go.
Hell yeah.
It's so lovely. It helps keep you hydrated. And we went, let's see, I had Sunday off. It was so nice. We went out to Hood River, got some brunch at Border Ost, I believe it was called. I don't know, it's a Swedish place. And
Ooh.
I had an egg bake with pear, and we also had like little round pancakes, like pancake balls.
Interesting.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, that is interesting.
They're really good.
At first, I was just like, wait, pancakes can be other shapes than round?
Well, it was like...
And then you were
pancakes
like,
are always round, Cloud.
Yeah, but it was, like a little...
Most of the time, they
little
are.
pancake ball. We had, like, jams. We had, like, a jam and a lemon and syrup that we could put on it. It was good.
That's pretty cool.
And then when we were driving back, we stopped at... and this is where a little bit of Commit a Crime Sunday for Spookfest came in. One of the two... So we stopped at 2 wildlife refuges. One of them you're only supposed to be able to see from a highway. But there is technically a road that leads into it. And it's marked as private property at a certain point. But like the entrance into it is not marked as like, hey, don't go beyond this. It's just marked, hey, this is a wildlife refuge. So we drove as far as we could. So we might have been trespassing. I don't know. Look it up.
Hell yeah.
And then we went to another one, and we did like a little hike around a lot of birds. There was like a really, because it's October, so it was like October 1st when we went. So there's like a lot of migration happening. There was like a couple Canadian geese that were in a field, and then we also watched a family of raccoons like run across the field. Like there was like 4 babies and like a mom, and like 3 of them were like halfway. Like the mom and one kid was like halfway across the field, and then the 3 others came down off of
the
a
other
tree
3 were just
and like started walking. It was funny. And we also saw a garter snake. It was real cute.
Oh,
nice.
Yeah, so that was that day. But yeah, I mean, video game wise, it's just been the 2 real games, Octopath and Nayuta. I'm hoping to finish up Nayuta soon-ish. I'm about halfway done now. But only because we got our big ones coming up soon, folks. I don't know if you know this. 16 days from recording, Mario Wonder's going to be out.
yeah.
Yeah.
12 days from now.
And then
12 days. Is it 12? No.
No.
Less than that.
Is it the 17th?
17th.
Yeah, it's a lot less than that.
Sonic.
I was gonna say by the time this comes out.
Yeah, I meant like
Oh, Sonic.
from
Okay.
today.
I thought you were talking about when. Yeah, when. I was thinking what you were talking about when this goes out. Between then and then.
Oh, no. I'm talking
when
about right
Mario
now.
Wonder comes out. No, but yeah, there's 2 big games coming out in the same week.
Yeah.
God, rip my wallet.
Yeah.
And like we all absolutely are getting Super Mario Brothers Wonder because it has online and we're playing it together. You're gonna watch us play it
After Spookfest, of
after
course.
Spookfest.
After Spookfest, of course. But, I mean, there's some big stuff coming up soon, and oh boy, I better beat at least half of a game before then. Yeah. Anyway.
All right.
All right.
I
So
think that about wraps it up.
that about does it for tonight. We will see you guys in our next episode. We haven't decided yet, so join our Discord.
Well, we have an idea.
Leave a
We have an idea.
we have an idea.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. We haven't solidified it yet, but we'll leave it as a surprise. You guys will be able to hear what that is when the time comes. Till next time, though, take care. We will see you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Gaming Stooges Talks podcast. If you enjoyed us, consider subscribing to our podcast RSS feed, or follow us on youtube.com/GamingStooges and twitch.tv/GamingStooges for more gaming content. If you'd like to chat with us, join our Discord. The link can be found in the episode description. We also want to thank all of our Patreon supporters. Your continued support means a lot to us. Not already one? Please take a look at what we have to offer anyone who becomes a patron at patreon.com/GamingStooges. See you next time!